everyone.
Good
Morning.
morning.
So I would like to call on Mr. Jimon Araleko. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, good morning, sir. Can you just give us the opening prayer for this session, sir?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
Can you hear
morning.
me?
Morning.
We thank God for this day. We thank God for what He has been doing in our life. As we are progressing into this webinar, we ask for His guidance so that at the end of the day, we have a successful meeting. In Allah's name I pray.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very short and brief. So once again, good morning, all. You are all welcome to the second edition, which is the July edition of CLMI Members Entrepreneurial Connect. So this program is used for the networking of CLMI members, engagement, and also learning from expertise in the industries of logistics, transport, management, finance, pharmaceutical industries, all industries involved in the CLMI body. So once again, you're all welcome. Please sit well. We are going to learn a lot of things today. And if you're a member, you're a fellow, you're on this platform, please, and your friends or your colleagues are not there, share the link to them and also let them participate. All right, so once again, welcome to the Courier and Logistics Management Institute. So CLMI is a professional institute that is into capacity building, professional membership, and consultancy. So we are the only institute to have the areas of courier, logistics, transport, and management in as a one program. In collaboration, we have international collaborations, and we also have collaborations here right here in Nigeria. Internationally, CLMI is affiliated with World University, where we run degree programs, MSc, MBA, PhD programs in various areas. We have over 90 courses available. So if you are looking to upskill yourself in MBA programs, MSc courses, and you are very busy at work, then God is a place for you to be. And also here we are affiliated with Trinity University. We run a skill acquisition program in logistics, transport, and Courier, logistics, transport, and management. And this program is for undergraduates. We also have those for professionals who are already in the logistics industry and those who are yet in the logistics industry who want to upskill and get a certificate in these areas. We have it available with Trinity University. And also, it's exciting us to know that recently, NUC has accredited Trinity University the opportunity to hold BSc in Logistics and Transport Management in affiliation with CLMI. So it means we can now run BSc in Logistics and Transport Management via Trinity University, and every individual who wants to get a BSc degree should also try as much as possible to take this while it's very fresh now, so let's engage in that. And we also affiliated with University of Lagos to run a skill of advanced diploma in Lagos and the government program, and if you want to skill yourself in this area of logistics, courier, transport, and management, because it's also available for you. And we have affiliations with Lagos State University from the undergraduate students who are schooling in Lagos State University. Programs in this area, courier, logistics, transport, and management. When we talk about management, we are talking about entrepreneurship, finance, marketing, everything that has to do with management of these areas. Once again, you are welcome. Before I go ahead to introduce the management of CLMI, we currently have a program which is 4K currently in ongoing, which is CLMI is an application in collaboration with Nigerian British Chambers of Commerce and Industry. We are partnering with them in running a program for cyber security and safety management for business operations. I mean, if you are every one of us here who is a business owner, I mean, we don't want to see our business running into losses, and we have to and technical aspect of our business. And that's why we have this affiliation with NBCC. And we are not just affiliated for the trading alone, we are bringing the opportunity to network with the Nigerian British Chambers of Commerce and Industry. We are bringing networking opportunities from individuals from the logistics industry to bring from international collaboration. And we also is a paid training and certification is available. And this course is just for 150,000 naira. It's very cheap, and right now the currently we call it 4K. So it's already in the market. I am expected elsewhere to try as much as possible because our business must be secure. And this is one of the opportunities that is to secure our business. And also, every program we recording in the verge of an investor. Please, can you all hear me? So we are currently in the verge of an investiture too. CLMI is having the fourth edition of the
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Ma. I just want to confirm that we are having the international conference and investiture currently ongoing. If you want to participate in any sort of advertisement, now to just reach out to the office, send in the information, and the slot is affordable for every organization. Once again, welcome to CLMI. The executive chairman of this institute is also here with us, the person of distinguished Professor Simon Emije, and we also have the vice chairman of the Corporate Friendship and Emije. We are also virtually present with us. You have the registrar of the institute, Mr. Kayode Jacob, is also virtually present here with us, and we have the business development partner, Mrs. Indika, also virtually present, and we also recognize all faculty members of the institute. And you're all welcome. And once again, welcome to this wonderful session. Our speaker for today is Pharm Ogheneochuko, who is CEO of Heights Pharmaceutical Ltd. Before I take his citation and we go into the program proper, please, if you are joining in, to avoid interference, please remember to mute your mic. And please, if you have any questions, you can type it down in the comment section or you write it in your notepad. And after the session, take your questions. This please you use the opportunity to meet this session because we are going to learn a lot in funding business, and don't miss this opportunity. And before I go ahead, I would like to invite the registrar of the institute in person. In person of Mr. Kayode Jacob to just give us 1 minute of everyone before we go ahead into the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Kayode, are you there, sir? Mr. Kayode, are you there? Also, I want to use this opportunity to recognize the presence of the media coordinator of the CLMI with social media management within person of Pharm. The here. She's the one managing everything that has to do with the media aspect of CLMI, the Program Logistics Management Institute. Is also virtually present with us. Mr. Kayode, can you hear me? This network is off. All right, Mr. Omaruaye, welcome, sir. Good morning. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Once again, you are welcome, and we appreciate you for giving this opportunity to speak to CLMI members, and we believe the members are going to take advantage of this. So I would like you to take your citation. Okay, Mr. Kayode, you are back, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. Under the authority of the chairman of the institute, the vice chairperson, and all the board members and faculty members, I want to welcome all of us again to the second edition of this, our membership program. You will recollect that the first edition was great and rightly met the purpose for which the institute designed this. Unlike so many others, it is our desire that members' status should be enhanced. Members' position should be enhanced. Members' opportunities should be enhanced. And that is why this membership program is brought up. And we are glad that it is living up to expectation. I sincerely welcome our guest speaker today, and I sincerely welcome everyone to the platform. I have no doubt in my mind that we will leave this meeting this morning or later in the afternoon well informed, well equipped, satisfied, and doing better in our various businesses. Once again, I want to welcome us. And I want to say this: if you are a fellow or you are a corporate body, your members, your staff, as has been announced to us, have the opportunity to join in. We cannot afford to leave anyone behind. If you have a friend who is also a member, we cannot afford to leave anyone behind. We all know that what we are doing is supposed to bring back the glory of Nigeria, supposed to unlock the resources of Nigeria. And that is why we want everyone that is a member, everyone that is paying dues as a member, everyone that is appreciative of being a member of the Institute, to prosper, to excel, to do well. And this is the reason for why we have this program. It happened to me. People can talk from their experiences. People can tell us how to unlock resources to prosper our various businesses. And people can give us legal insights into issues, and then we can ask questions and get answers to them. Once again, I want to welcome everyone. I believe very strongly that today will be another great day. I believe very, very powerfully that all of us will leave this place serviced, empowered to move ahead in our various businesses. Thank you. See you again before we close. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe we are going to also learn much. So once again, you are welcome. Today's theme will be from concept to capital. That's practical funding strategies for emerging entrepreneurs. We have Pharm Omaruaye, Ogheneochuko, FPSN, and as I take his citation, I hope you can all see the screen. And okay, first paragraph, Omaruaye Ogheneochuko is the Chief Executive Officer, New Heights Pharmaceutical Ltd, a wholly indigenous healthcare company that is involved in wholesale, distribution, marketing, and consulting. It is one of the leading providers of healthcare products, services, and information to pharmacies, hospitals, and other healthcare institutions in Nigeria. Ogheneochuko is passionate about changing the way healthcare distribution is done in Nigeria, which was why he led the team that started New Heights Pharmaceutical, founded over 17 years ago, and is helping to bridge the gap between the retail pharmacies, hospitals, and manufacturers/importers. Ogheneochuko is a registered pharmacist with Pharmacist Council of Nigeria, and an alumnus of Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Benin. He is also a graduate of the Faith Foundation. He has received numerous awards, among which is the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria Merit Award winner, MAW, as well as being one of the first recipients of the Pfizer Award for Excellence in Pharmacy by the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria National. He has just recently been inducted as a fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Ogheneochuko has worked as a pharmacist in manufacturing, hospital, retail, wholesale/distribution, and sales and marketing, and presently lives as a pharmacist CEO in an integrated healthcare company, where all the expertise of this year is brought to provide excellent healthcare products and services to the industry in Nigeria. rest of Africa, and across the world. All through his career for over 25 years, Ogheneochuko has been in the forefront of bringing change by example to the industry as well to his spheres of influence. He recently became a published author, beg your pardon, of the book Principles of Genesis. That chronicles his leadership style and example. He previously seeks out opportunities to inspire and motivate younger professionals to drive the change that is needed in the pharmaceutical industry as well as in Nigeria. Ogheneochuko is married to Olubumi, and together with their children, we live right here in Lagos. And before we go ahead, Pharm Ogheneochuko, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Please, before I move into the section properly, I want to just use this medium to recognize the presence of Captain Jojo Delcelo, who is the CEO of Prime Logistics, who is virtually here present with us. All right, thank you very much for joining, sir. All right, Pharm, you're welcome, sir. We are excited to have you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you stop the screen. All right, so let's start with our sessions for today. Now, beginning with the concept, clarity, and funding mindsets. So let's start with your journey starting New Heights Pharmaceuticals. When you first launched New Heights Pharmaceuticals, what were your biggest funding challenges? Upcoming entrepreneurs would like to know and how they can see or ways that they can understand these things.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I want to appreciate the organizers of this program. Specifically, I want to thank Professor Emeje and Pharm Mrs. Emeje for this opportunity to share our experiences and our work in the business of pharma with this team. I can imagine that we have various people on this platform and on this call with diverse experiences as well as diverse expectation. I will try as much as possible to keep it simple and to go straight to the questions as much as is possible. I don't know how much time we have for this engagement.
We have about an hour for this engagement, so we have the time to a lot of people would like to get from this.
All right, that's fine. I'm happy to be here, and I hope that at the end of this engagement, somebody will go away with one or two thoughts or idea that hopefully will change the trajectory of a particular startup business or an existing business that wants to do something different when it comes to their sphere of business enterprise. Now, back to the question. Your question says, when we first launched New Heights Pharmaceutical, what were the biggest funding challenge? Interestingly, New Heights Pharmaceuticals, because we're basically going to be talking about New Heights Pharmaceuticals as it were. So New Heights Pharmaceuticals started business in 2005. February 1st, 2025, we became 20 years in the business. And in that 20 years period, a lot has changed. When I mean a lot has changed, I mean a lot has changed. Technology has evolved so dramatically, has disrupted the entire ecosystem. The way funding is sourced for businesses today is not exactly the way funding was sourced for businesses 20 years ago. But again, some of these approach to sourcing for funds and some of this approach to starting a business remains the same, because these are principles that don't change irrespective of the kind of environment we find ourselves in 20 years later. So back to the question, what were our funding challenges? So our funding challenges was majorly funds to stock up a business as well as infrastructure. What do I mean by stock up a business? So we are into the business of wholesaling and distribution. And maybe most of you may not have entered into a wholesale facility, but at least you have entered into a retail pharmacy store, or you have gone into an hospital where you have to go and take your medicines from the pharmacy inside the hospital. Now, if you are thinking of starting a wholesale business, whatever you saw in that pharmacy, you need a minimum of 100 of what you saw in one pharmacy in a wholesale facility. So let me not say 100. 100 would be a bit stretching it too far, but at least 50% of whatever you saw in a retail facility times 50 of that is what you need to start a wholesale business. Because a wholesale business is a place where the retail pharmacies come to source their medicines. And so New Heights Pharmaceutical started as a wholesale business. And naturally, if you need 50 times what you need to start a retail business, then it means that you need a lot of funding. Funding becomes your major challenge in starting up such a business. And then, of course, there was the issue of infrastructure. Infrastructure meant that we needed to rent a space that is big enough to accommodate all of this inventory that we want to use to start up the business, and so on and so forth. So the two major factors we had as a challenge that require funding was funding for stock and funding to expand the funding to create the facility and the space to run a wholesale business. But again, the attitude was always with the mindset for that business was, yes, you need, let's say you need ₦1 million to start a retail pharmacy 20 years ago. You needed 50 million naira to start a wholesale business 20 years ago. But the issue was, if you don't have 50 million naira, but the wholesale business is what you wanted to start, how do you start? And so the mentality and the mindset was start with what you have and stay focused on what it is.
Please, if you are joining in, mute yourself.
Okay, I can continue.
Yes.
So the takeaway from the funding challenges was that, yes, we don't have the funds to start the way we want to start. Yes, we didn't have the infrastructure in terms of how we wanted the infrastructure to be, but start with what you have. And what was it we had? We had a 54 square meter of office space to start off our wholesale and distribution business, even though we needed a 500 square meter office space. Yes, we had probably 2-3 million naira to start off with our stocking, even though we needed 50 million to start off the business. So the funding challenges were there and they were real, but the principle was start with what you have, especially when your ideas are clear and you knew what you wanted to do. Again, for those of us who are on this call and you are thinking of starting a business and the business looks like it's going to be a huge investment, it is always the same principle. It never fails. You have to start with what you have, but stay focused on the primary business idea and the primary business objective you want to achieve, because you definitely cannot wait for all the parameters to be in place before you start off your business. So to answer the question, the funding challenges that we had were funds for stock as well as funds to meet up our infrastructural needs.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, sir, which is very important for all emerging that to start with what they have. Now, talking about starting with what you have, now I'm going to look at this aspect. Now, what was your initial mindset around funding? You know, did you have a strategy right from day one, or immediately you started the business, then those things started coming in? Because young entrepreneurs would like to know about this. You know, sometimes as the way you do, you learn from some starting things. But how important is it to have a strategy from day one, or how does it evolve around funding?
Okay, so to answer that question, I will be honest with you. Like I said, all of this started 21 years ago. There was no clear-cut funding strategy. It evolved. But the primary process of starting with what you have is the fact that you know that for you to start a business, there are certain basic things that you will put in place. And you must find a strategy to make sure that you need some level of funding to help you meet those basic strategies. Again, in my own case, for example, in our own case, let me rephrase, in our own case, we knew that for us to start off a business that requires physical products and services, you needed an office space. You needed to have shelves. You needed to have products on those shelves. So savings were made while we were working to use to acquire an office space. Savings, from that savings, it was taken to use to acquire infrastructure like fixtures and fittings. From that savings, all the basic things that were needed to give a semblance of a business was put in place. So if you ask me what was the funding strategy, I would say the funding strategy that we had was the strategy of saving. Sorry, I'm hearing an echo. Was the strategy of saving, of keeping money aside while you were working or while you were earning something as a savings that you can actually use as an initial investment to start off a business. In our own case, we had worked for a couple of years and saved money preparatory to starting a business. So that was the initial funding strategy that we had. And then the rest of the funding requirements, needs were met as the business progressed and things evolved. But at the beginning, it was more of saving money, putting money aside to do and to start the basics of what you need to start a business. And then subsequently, I'm sure as we go in this conversation, I will explain further how the other funding needs were met.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much, sir. And the most essential thing is that you start and you must have some savings to acquire the basic needs for your business to operate.
Yeah. Okay.
Now let's go to part 2: bootstrapping and self-funding. Now what practical steps would you recommend for entrepreneurs looking for self-fund? I mean, these are the things that most Nigerian entrepreneurs are looking for. There are some people who have this business ideology, they have this concept, and they want to improve, but personality, what kind of steps you recommend for entrepreneurs looking to self-fund?
If I got your question very well, say you are talking about bootstrapping, how to successfully
bootstrapping ourselves. Yeah, exactly.
Practical steps you can recommend for entrepreneurs looking to self-fund.
Yes.
Now, I look at it, like I said, I look at the business environment. It is totally different from what it was 20 years ago. Today, people start up business. They start a business. They have a co-founder, and then most of these businesses are usually tech related, and they come up with their business plans and stuff like that, and then they tend to go to seek for Series A funding, Series B funding. They go to those terminology that we hear these days, and so on and so forth. But in our time, 20 years ago, there was only like Series A or Series B funding. It was a question of rolling your sleeves, going into the trenches, doing what you want, what you need to do, showing up every day, staying true to the dreams and to the visions, and being consistent over a period of time. Now, in doing a business, I tell young entrepreneurs, I say, if you truly have a business, then the business will most likely be able to generate some form of revenue. If you have a business and all you talk about in the business is how you're going to raise funds, and you're not showing us how the business is going to bring in revenue, then I don't think you have a business. Okay? And if you have a business and and you are generating revenue, then the discipline to reinvest your revenue back into the business becomes the primary key to sustaining your business. So back to the question, how do you bootstrap successfully? I think the very first thing you need to do when you are bootstrapping in a business, which is exactly what we did, is that you must tell yourself that you are delaying all forms of gratification. That means you probably will have to stay in the business. The only time you take money out of that business is just to meet your bare, I call it bare necessities of life. If you've watched Jungle Book, there's a song called the bare necessities of life. You meet your bare necessities of life. You take just enough as an allowance to pay your basic bills. But every other revenue that comes into the business, whether it is cost, whether it is profit, must be plowed back into the business. And I can assure you from experiences, I haven't run and haven't been involved in more than 3-4 businesses over a 25 years span. I can assure you that there is no way you run a business, you make a profit from the business, and you reinvest the profit, 95% of the profit right back into the business, that you will not be able to compound the business and grow the business over a period of time that can then make you meet your more luxury needs. But what I see today is a situation where young people do business. The minute there's some form of revenue and funding, they cannot differentiate between the business revenue and their lifestyle. So for me, bootstrapping simply means delay all forms of gratification, prioritize what is important. And what is important is the investment you put right back into the business, no matter how much revenue you are making. Because even if you make a good revenue and you make a good profit this year, it does not translate to that's what's going to happen next year. But if you reinvest every single profit you make the first year into the business, then it puts you in a better position to do bigger business the following year. It is just like compound interest. When you delay your gratification and reinvest all of your profits right back into your business. That is exactly what we did. And interestingly, that's exactly what we've been doing for over 20 years. So it's not as if after a while you stop. We've done it for 20 years, we've continued to do it. I think that is basically the most important strategy for every startup business, even if you exist as a business, except if you don't have expansion ambition, except if you think you have arrived at your success threshold and you don't see any possibility of expansion. Because the truth of the matter is that money reinvested into your business from profit is the best form of funding for your business. No investor, no bank loan can be better than that. Yes. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Thank you very much, sir. It's very crucial you invest into your business. So if you are an upcoming entrepreneur or you're already into business, please remember to invest everything you are getting now. So don't eat all. Okay, so we are going to moving on. Now, let's go into this question. What are the key risks of bootstrapping that new entrepreneurs often miss?
Sorry, let me get it again.
I said, what are the key risks of bootstrapping that new entrepreneurs often miss?
Yeah, when I saw that question, I was asking, what is the risk? Personally, I don't think there's any risk in bootstrapping. The only thing is that when you are bootstrapping, a lot of the time, certain business opportunities will present themselves. And because you are bootstrapping, because you don't have all the resources you need, you may not be able to take advantage of them fully. But other than that, I don't see any risk in bootstrapping. If anything, there is a lot of advantages in bootstrapping. Let me tell you what, for what I understand about bootstrapping is that bootstrapping is you find yourself in a position where you try to do more with less. And this word I just used now is one of our core values as an organization, trying to do more with less. In fact, I have my colleagues and members of staff who used to tease me once in a while. I say, it is like doing more with nothing, But when you bootstrap and you try to achieve a lot with the little resources you have. When resources becomes available to you, you will find out that you can actually do so much more. So in my own opinion, there's no risk in bootstrapping. If anything, you will learn, you become very disciplined, you become very frugal and very prudent in the way you deploy resources. And most importantly, when you are bootstrapping, you don't throw money to every problem you have. You think with your head, because a lot of the times, when there's so much funding available to start up businesses, they don't think anymore. They box their mind and their head inside the locker and lock it up there. Once a problem comes, they throw money at the problem. But the truth of the matter is that there are lots of problems that come in, especially at the startup point, where that requires just a little bit of thinking, just a little bit of innovation, just a little bit of changing the way you approach the problem. And suddenly you will find a solution that does not require any funding. And for me, These are some of the things that you get when you bootstrap, when you tighten your belt, and when you approach the business with the mindset of doing more with less.
Mindset of doing more with less. So, all right, thank you very much for that session on bootstrapping. So we are going to go into part 3 of these sessions, which is raising early stage capital. So for those just starting out, where should they look at first? Grants, angel investors, friends, or family for upcoming entrepreneurs?
Good question. Again, I keep on referring to how it was 20, 25 years ago and how it is today. Today, everybody that wants to start up a business, they're always looking for how to write a business plan. Sometimes without a proven business concept, they already are looking for investors. They want people to come and invest in the business. And I keep saying the best investor of a business is first and foremost you yourself. What is your commitment level in your business? I remember, like I said, I remember 21, 22 years ago when we were starting off, and I was talking to somebody. I was talking to a family friend of mine, a member of my family, and he said, "You want to start a business? How do you intend to survive? You are going to leave your job and and start this business." I said, "Well, I put aside some money, like I said earlier on, that I think we can use to start this business. I want families who see the potential of what we are doing to also look at it and see how they can support." So for me, if you want to start off, the first and best place to go to is family and friends, because they will give you funding that may not require you paying any form of interest. They will not put a gun to your head because they want to support you and they want you to succeed. Okay, so family and friends, apart from your own savings, family and friends will be my first option. Now, for you to actually get grants or for you to get an angel investor, you must be able to show that what you are doing truly matters. What you are doing truly adds value, and what you are doing is actually bringing in revenues. But before you get to that point, you need to start something, and that is where the funding that comes from yourself, from family, and for friends that know you comes in. Now, most families, most friends will not necessarily give you the resources immediately. They want to see how committed you are. They want to see how serious you are as far as this your business idea is. But if you ask me in way of answering your question in terms of raising early stage capital, I would say my number one option would be look at for friends and family outside your own savings. The next will be, if you have been able to show proof of concept that this business is good enough, you can look out for opportunities for grants. There are lots of opportunities for grants now in Nigeria. This was not there 20 years ago. In fact, there was nobody granting anything to anybody 20 years ago. But today, businesses are being supported. A grant means they give you the money. They're not expecting you to pay back, but you must show proof that you are able to use the money to grow the business. And that is why you must have a proof of concept. And proof of concept cannot come except your initial commitment and your initial investment, which is why I said friends and family and your investment. And then, of course, there are angel investors. Whatever that means, I cannot tell. But angel investors mean that they are investors that just sees you, likes you, and give you money. And then they fly away back to heaven. I think that's why they are angel investors. They are not asking you to give an account of the money, okay? But the truth of the matter is that angel investors, I don't know how many of us have seen any angel here in our lifetime. So which means angel investors don't come easily, don't come readily, but they exist and they are available in the space. But your surest way, like I always say, is your savings, your family, and your friends. That's your surest way. And then, of course, with the advent of grants, so many grants, there are all kinds of grants from Bill Gates Foundation to Microsoft to this to that. The grants are too many these days. Grants for women, grants for people who are doing climate change, who are doing business that impact positively on the climate. There are all kinds of grants out there. You can actually access them, but you must first start your business and show proof of concept before you can have access to those grants. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. You know, angels are real. We don't see them often. So just
exactly. Even in investment, you won't see them very often too.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Now, moving to the next question: how should an entrepreneur determine how much capital they actually need at the early stage. I mean, this is very important for many people here.
Yes. So I think the most important thing, because this ties back into a question that was in the list of what you sent to me, which is how important is it for a startup to be clear on their concept before pursuing capital? Okay, it ties right into it. And I always say, before you start off a business, again, we live in a country where it is the norm now. Everybody wants to do a business. Everybody wants to be a CEO. Everybody wants to be a managing director. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Okay, and so we jump into the space as Me Too Nigeria Limited. I call it Me Too Nigeria Limited. The truth is, if you are going to go into the space of starting a business as a startup, you must first of all define what it is that you are bringing to the table. What is that special offer, service, product that you want to introduce into the market? Excuse me, that doesn't already exist. Okay, so clarity is very, very important, because when there is clarity, you will not be able to know where exactly and how exactly you need to go about your funding needs. When there's clarity, you will see that your funding needs are X, but your resources is Y, so you will prioritize. Okay, so these are what I will call you cannot separate one for the other. You need to bring clarity and you need to prioritize. And when you are able to get both of them together in a way and manner that you are not sure what it is that you want to achieve, then you can then attach a budget to it. That's where you begin to get a bit of clarity in terms of the kind of funding that you need. And I will go to a typical example. When we were starting off as a wholesale and distribution business, we knew, for example, that we needed a massive space to do our business. We knew, for example, that we needed a lot of stocking. We knew, for example, that we needed a lot of logistics vehicle to do our business. And so I keep saying that 20 years ago, the business plan we had for our business is still the same business plan we are using today. The only thing that has changed is that 20 years ago, when we wrote the business plan, we said we needed one logistics vehicle. Today, we probably need 20 logistics vehicles, but it is still the same logistics vehicle. So when you are doing your business and you're looking for funding, you cannot be looking for funding for 20 logistics vehicles when you have not shown that you need 20 logistics vehicles. Because 20 years ago, we couldn't show proof that we needed 20 logistics vehicles. What we could show was that the business needed just one logistics vehicle. Okay, so our budget was made based on the fact that we needed just one, and that was what we sought funds for. Today, if we are going to look for money for logistics vehicles, we are not looking for logistics vehicles for just one. We are looking for 20. You can see that the funding needs is now reflecting the business demand, not the assumption, not the expectation, but the reality. The reality for us today is that we need 20, 25, 30 logistics vehicles. It was there in the business plan 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, what we needed was just one. Today, it is 25. I use that as an example, that in asking about your funding needs, there are lots of things that you will probably, they are nice to have. But the question will always be, okay, if you have it, can you put it to full use at this point in time? Most likely the answer will be no. So if that is the answer, then you cut down on your funding needs to what you really, really need per time immediately, and let the business demand determine your funding requirements, not your assumptions or your expectations. We have a lot of startup business today that are trying to run like a corporate organization. They go and employ staff. They call it, you see somebody who started a business today. He's already employing a vice president for logistics, a chief financial officer for finance. They have all kinds of funny titles they give themselves these days. And then all of those titles brings expectation. Because you cannot call me vice president and then I am trekking. If you call me vice president, you should give me a car. You cannot call me chief financial officer and my office is one small kiosk. You have to give me a very big office to reflect my status. Okay, that is where a lot of startups are missing it. Okay, they should stay away from those fancy titles. we're talking about bootstrapping. They should stay away from those fancy titles, roll their sleeves. I called myself pharmacist manager for a long time, even though I had the opportunity of referring to myself as the MD, CEO, founder, whatever the title you want to call me. But I cannot answer all those titles because I don't even have the bank account to back it up. So why can't I just advise myself and stay humble and just answer my name? Simple. In fact, I wasn't even answering pharmacist. I was just saying Mr. O. That was how my title came. Everybody calls me Mr. O. Mr. O. It's simple. It's easy. No pressure. Okay. So when you understand it, when you think of your business from that perspective, it becomes a lot easier to measure your funding needs, to meet your specific needs and the realities that you are dealing with per time. I don't know if I answered your question, but I will stop here.
Yes, we did. Yes. If you have more, I mean, we've learned a lot. And I could testify to the part where you mentioned them being called Mr. O, because at some point when I was searching online for your articles written by you, I went to your LinkedIn channel and what I saw was Mr. O, and I was like, is he a pharmacist? I'm to be sure about that. All right, thank you very much, sir. And one thing that you mentioned about hitting is humility. I mean, all the upcoming entrepreneurs are ready to be humble to start with necessary plans and strategies. Now, moving to part 4. Please, if you have questions, just put down in the comment section. We'll take it after the session. So, pitching an investor readiness. Now, what are the absolute must-haves in a pitch when you seek funding? I remember you said 20 years ago there was not grants that people can easily access, but right now, but I'm sure you have access to some. But what are the absolutely must-have in pitch when seeking for funds?
Like I said, a lot of things have changed, and I must say that I'm a bit of an old school business manager. But even though a lot of things have changed, there are some things that don't change. So if you ask me, what are the absolute must-have in a pitch when seeking funding? I would say the number one thing you should have is proof of concept. If you want to come and tell me to come and invest in your business, you have to show me proof of concept. Okay? You must have, for you to have a proof of concept, you must have proper record and documentation. Let your data speak. I watch some of these investor businesses from time to time. There are some of these popular brands on TV, Lions Den, a couple of other ones. And you see people come in, they want to come and pitch because they're looking for money. And they ask them a simple question. What was your revenue in your first year? And you see the people blabbing and not being able to say anything because either they didn't keep records properly or they didn't even have a proof of concept. The business has not even generated any form of revenue. Okay? And I will use that I will use myself as an example. So 20 years ago, because today, people go and make pitch for investors. In our own time, we weren't necessarily making pitches or talking to investors per se. But if the money had come in the way we wanted it, we would have used it to buy stock or use it to build and expand our infrastructure. So 20 years ago, what did I do as one of our ways of raising funds? We looked at the industry. We said, okay, if we raise 20 million, we will use that 20 million to go and buy stock, pharmaceuticals, healthcare products from the manufacturing industry. So why don't I go to the manufacturing industry and go and tell them that, look, I want you to give me stock. I don't have money, but give me stock. Okay? It is the same thing as pitching in today's time for money. So I did that. I did that with a couple of businesses. And one of those businesses actually, the MD actually invited me to come and gave me an opportunity to speak to the entire board why they should consider me a startup business. We're just 4 or 5 months old into the business. Why they should consider us to become a distributor of their business. Now, then, 20 years ago, then we needed 2.5 million naira to become a distributor. But when I finished my pitch and I showed them what we had done over the last 4 months, I said we were just 4 months old. I showed them what we had done over the last 4 months. I showed them what our plans were for the next 3 years. They asked me a simple question. Mr. O, how much do you have with you as you speak right now? I said, sir, I only have 250,000 naira. That is 10% of what was required for me to become a distributor, right? And I left there with 2.5 million naira worth of stock, just depositing 250,000 naira. Now, for me, that was making a pitch and the company investing into our business directly or indirectly, without holding any stock, without holding any shares, without being a part of the business. And I walked away, and we did that for at least 3 or 4 other companies. That was how we raised initial stock to meet our business. But how was I able to achieve that? I had a proof of concept of what the business has done in the past 4 years. I had data, I had documents, and I was honest in my communication. So when you go and you are standing before an investor, and they ask you questions, you are scratching your head, and you are trying to generate an answer. You don't need to generate an answer. Say it for what it is. I could have said, oh, we have 1 million or 2.5 million, but I told them, I said we have 250,000 as we speak. So you must be honest. They must see the integrity of your intention and the way you present your request. All of those things, because an investor is looking at you. The investor is not necessarily investing in your business. The investor is actually investing in you, your personality, the person that you are. A lot of the time, and that is on that place where we miss it. A lot of young entrepreneurs, they think that the investor is investing in the business. The truth of the matter is that every business has the potential to fail. So the man is not looking at your business because he knows that potential is there. But he's looking at the person. Will this person allow that business to fail? Will this person do everything he needs to do? Will this person put his skin in the game and not be pressing for and be doing a filler right and be drinking tea when he's supposed to be on the street grinding it out? Okay? A lot of the time we look at a lot of the big businesses around the world today. You need to go and hear their story. You need to go and see their story. The likes of Apple, the likes of Facebook, you need to go and see their story. A lot of them started rough. They were willing to make the sacrifices. Okay, today, young startups need to understand that is how it works. It is a principle. It's not going to change because the times have changed. It remains the same. So the investor is looking out for those qualities. So for you to be investor ready, what are the absolute must have in a pitch when seeking funding? You must have a proof of concept. You must have your documentation, and you must be able to speak with a lot of honesty and integrity in terms of what you want to achieve. Of course, your data must back everything that you are saying. When they ask you questions, don't scratch your head. Give the information as you know it is. Don't try and fabricate it, because that's where dishonesty can come in, and that's where you can lose most investors.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. I think it was that one of your memorable lesson or experience when it comes to pitching.
Oh yes, that was one very memorable experience. So I went for that presentation to talk to the MD. I didn't know that the MD and his entire board, it's a PLC. They were having a board meeting, right? They were having a board meeting. I was just supposed to have a private meeting with the MD and tell him what I wanted. And then while I was having that conversation, he just said, look, this thing that you're telling me now, so why don't you just go and tell it to the boss so that we can take a decision, right? And that was how I was thrown into an entire board. A young man with just my 4 months experience in doing my business. I didn't plan it, but I was asked to present a pitch to an entire organization. And when I did that, they approved it. And 6 months down the line, we became their top 3 distributors, because I realized also that given this opportunity, if you don't use it very well, okay, you are not going to create more opportunities in front. So we rolled our sleeves. We went on the streets of Lagos to make sure that we met the expectations as we have said it. And that was how we were able to open other doors with other organizations, because they became a reference point. So when I go and I speak to pharmaceutical company A, I say, look, we're already doing this thing with this particular organization. You can go and ask them. They will tell you what we have achieved with them in just 6 months. The doors were opening subsequently. Why? Because of that honest in the pitch that came with all the integrity and all the data and all the proof of concepts that I could muster at that point in time. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. That was me a very memorable one, sir.
It was. And, it is.
Well, moving to the last, have you had any, or personally, how do you handle investor rejection, if you've had any?
Again, and this is very interesting. I have had I have had opportunities to attract investors over the years. Not as a startup. They didn't come now as startup. They came seeing that the business has become more mature. But as at a beginning stage, we had an opportunity and we wanted to explore that opportunity. Remember, I said some of the things that bootstrapping will make you lose is that opportunities will come, but because you don't have the resources, you may not be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So opportunity presented itself several years ago, and we went to the bank. Again, there's no need to mention the bank, but one of the Nigerian banks. And after we presented our data, presented our information and everything, thinking that they will approve our loan because we've been doing all our business was with them, they rejected it. And when I look back, I am grateful that they rejected it, because sometimes you will think that you are ready to handle certain level of businesses, a certain level of funding, but you are truly not ready. And because you don't have that expertise, and because you don't have the resources to employ the people that were able to break down your numbers, you may not be able to see the risk that you really don't have what it takes to embark on that funding project. So we have gone to the bank, done everything we knew to do, and the bank rejected it. What was the reason? They say we are a high-risk business, that they cannot give us that funding. And then we came back and we were looking at our data, we're looking at our document. And then your call to us that truthfully, we're actually high risk. If this bank had given us this money and something goes wrong, how do we intend to pay back? We didn't have an answer. So it was obvious that the bank did what was right. We were disappointed, but it made us look inwards, made us try to be a bit more creative and innovative in the way we try to solve our funding needs. Fast forward to 2019, we had an investor who wanted to invest in our business because we were expanding and they saw the potential and everything. And they also came to, did everything we needed to do. Practically, we were ready to sign documents in March of 2020, and COVID came. These are foreign investors. They wanted to invest in the business as foreign investors, met all their criteria, did all their analysis, and COVID came. And when COVID came, they said they cannot invest anymore. We said we are not even interested anymore because we don't even know whether the world will still be here after 2020. So it was a bit of a disappointment. But in all of this, looking back, I was grateful that those investments didn't come in like we wanted it. Eventually, we were able to source funding from other local institutions to do what we needed to do. So yes, there's a disappointment, but as an entrepreneur, you must take those disappointments as a basis for you to reimagine and become a little bit more creative in sourcing your fund, because sometimes those disappointments may actually be pointing you to flaws or weakness in the process. So as much as I tell you, I say when you are disappointed by an investor, don't be desperate. Don't think you have lost it all. Go back, think through the process, reinvent, become a little bit more creative, and you will find out that there's a better or easier way of raising the same funds to do the same thing you want to do.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure after your experience with the bank, you will come out and see this popular phrase, which is every disappointment is a blessing.
It's a blessing, exactly. All things work together for good.
Honestly. All right. So moving on to financial planning and long-term capital strategy. How important is it to understand burn rate and runway in early stage business growth, sir?
How important, I'm trying to figure out the question. How important is it to understand burn rate and runway in early stage business growth, right? Just like I said earlier on, a lot of the businesses that we have today, they are assuming too much, okay? And they tend to, these businesses are startup businesses, but they tend to want to operate like they are established businesses or corporate businesses. And that is where burn rate and runaway burn rate and people are burning cash, because you need time to prove certain concepts. And sometimes in trying to prove those concepts, you actually have to spend money. And in spending money, you can be spending so much, and yet the concept has not evolved to the point where an investor will say, okay, they want to put money. So you need to look at all of these things in real practical terms. There is no hard and fast rule to it. There are some businesses in which you need to prove the concept and you require some form of investment. It's just like somebody who is digging for gold, digging for oil. That you dug a particular well doesn't mean that there will be oil in that well. But you will have spent money digging that well. So again, it goes back to the same thing I've tried to speak on throughout this interview, which is the need for people to be prudent, people to try to do more with less. People need to manage their resources. Don't throw money at every problem, because those are the ways by which you can manage your run rate. Run rates will come. A lot of businesses have shut down recently. There's one called Okra also, an online financial business that shut down. Apparently, they were taking on too many issues, too many problems, trying to solve too many problems and losing sight of the core business. Again, that is what happens, and that is what increases the run rate. So what I say is that stay focused on your primary solution that you are providing. Manage the process to the best of your ability, staying prudent, staying frugal, staying light. Until you prove your concept, until you prove that this business can generate revenue, you must stay as light as possible. In fact, the people working with you, I once heard the story of the guy that owns the business that is somewhere on Lekki. When they were constructing the Calabar Lagos road, his business was affected. He has an exhibition place in Lekki. The guy was telling us how in their early days of starting off a business, they didn't pay them any salary. Instead, they were told that they will get shares in the business. That is another example of managing burn rates that usually occurs with most startups. So sometimes you may come into the business, again, it still points to the same thing I've said, which is prudent, doing more with less. You don't have to pay salaries. If we succeed with this, you own a share in the business. If we don't, we all move on to the next project. But the summary of it all is that these things will happen. And because you don't have an endless resources, you are not backed by NVIDIA, or neither are you backed by Apple that has too much cash that they don't know what to do with the cash. So you must be prudent and you must be deliberate in the way you spend money. It is very important that startup business understand this. That is the only thing that can save them, or else they are dead on arrival already, even before the business takes a life of its own.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We're going to merge these next two questions together because it's related. Yes. They say what an elder sees on the chair, even a child climbs and will not see. Now, I would like you to, can you share a financial decision that significantly contributed to your own success of New Heights Pharmaceutical personally, something that you see as maybe an hidden wisdom that maybe you got along the way of your business journey?
It may look very, very insignificant, but again, it still revolves around what I have tried to speak throughout this whole conversation. A business decision. One of the business, I would probably say more than one, but one of the business decisions we took was prioritizing what was important, what was needful at any point in time. I'll give you a typical example. So we run a healthcare business. And in a healthcare business, sometimes you need to provide certain infrastructure. In this case, we needed ACs in our facility, okay? So we were stuck, we were torn between using the money we had at that point in time to buy ACs into the facility, or to use the same money to buy in more stock. And I sat and I was discussing with my team, and the conversation gravitated to the point where they said, if you buy AC with this money, the customers will come in and the place will be very cool. They will enjoy the ambience, but they will not get what they are looking for. But if you use this money to buy stock and put on the shelf, the customers will come. They may not necessarily enjoy the ambience, but they will find what they are looking for. You can apologize to them and tell them that, don't worry, the ambience is work in progress. By the time they come next time, the ambience will have been in place. Okay? And we took that decision. We used the money that was meant to put in an extra AC in the facility to buy more stock. And guess what? Immediately we did that, our sales jumped by almost 15%. And then down the road, 2-3 months down the road, we were able to buy the AC without necessarily compromising on our stocking. And that taught us something very early in the business. I'm talking about 20 years. This thing was like 6 months into the business. And that taught us something, that sometimes there are things that are nice to have, but they don't add any immediate or material value to the business. While there are some things that are must, that will give you instant wins. So that became the basis for which we think in the business. So when you bring in something to my table as CEO, the question I ask is this a nice to have, or is this something that we add instant and immediate benefit to the business? That is the decisions, the way we approach practically almost every decision, because we learned it very early in the business. You know, that's one. Secondly, as a business, we are in a space where most times people don't employ graduates to run the business for them. We decided very early in the business that anybody who is not a graduate will not work here. Even if they work here, we must insist that they must go to school. What am I trying to say? We were willing to invest in knowledge, in training, in upgrading, okay? And that benefited the business. When I look at contemporary businesses that were existing at the same time we came on board and where we are today and where those businesses are, one of the things that I probably want to point to is the fact that while we were investing in training and upgrading and updating our knowledge, a lot of those businesses were not doing the same. So in terms of answering your question, those were two very, very important decisions. One was prioritizing what added immediate and instant value. The other one was investing in knowledge and training of our staff to help us achieve our objectives.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
And we believe that we've learned a lot from these things. So I'm seeing some comments coming and we'll take on your questions as soon as they are done, sir. So most questions are related to some of the things you've already spoken of, like, but I'm going to just ask this particular one. And it talks about what role do network and compass communities like CLMI, the Courier and Management Institute, now please, from your experience with CLMI, for helping entrepreneurs, and before we take the last step on this week.
I mean, it cannot be overemphasized. I want to once again commend Professor Emeje for the opportunity to share experiences. There are so many people on this platform that I probably will have heard one thing or the other that will probably help them, I hope. Who wouldn't have heard it without this kind of platform? So this is quite innovative and quite creative from CLMI to bring people to come and share experiences. And interestingly, I was supposed to be the first on the dial for this series, but the timing was a bit of a challenge. But I'm grateful and I'm glad that I've been able to come on board to share my experiences. Like I said, the role of a platform like this cannot be overemphasized. It is creating opportunity for everyone. For those that already know, there's something that if you know something already and you hear someone else repeating it, it reinforces it. It makes you comfortable to say, okay, this thing that I know is the right thing. And then for those that don't know, you hear it for the first time, you're like, oh, okay. So a platform like this actually provides an opportunity for every one of us to learn, okay? And it's a community. Questions will be asked. I'm not here to come and say I know it all. Questions will be asked. I can only share my thoughts. Hopefully when I come and I've listened to the first edition, and I hope that I will be able to attend future editions so that I will also learn too. So the platform provides an opportunity for every one of us to learn. It's a learning platform, and then the benefit of that cannot be overemphasized. From here, mentors will come. Some of us that are starting businesses, you have the opportunity of networking within this platform. You have the opportunity of calling people up, asking them questions about how you can go about your business. Business opportunities will come. We are all in logistics in one way or the other. Somebody here will be able to share logistics information with another organization. Another organization will be able to bring business of logistics to another, and so on. The opportunities are endless. But this platform is obviously providing that opportunity for us to network. So I want to thank CLMI for putting this together.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah. And as an individual fellow of the institute, we also oblige you to also register as a corporate fellow of the institute. So this can be extended to your staff too as well. I'm sure the extension of this
that will be looked into.
All right, let's do that after this. Then lastly, I'm sure this is going to be from your personal journey now. Let's 60 seconds, in just 60 seconds. Now, just speak directly. We have young entrepreneurs who are coming, like we mentioned before the start of the program, that there are people in various industries, not the pharmaceutical, like some are going into the medicine, Courier, some are going into maybe buying of different products. But what, and it's just 60 seconds, a young entrepreneur taking capital, what's your best piece of advice for them?
So in 60 seconds, my best piece of advice for anybody who is starting off in business as a young person, even if you are in business and you are not, and you are old, but you can still learn and you can still change your ways. Number one, if you are starting off or you are thinking of starting off, start with what you have. The conditions for starting a business will never, ever be perfect. It has never been and it will never be. So start with what you have. Number two, stay disciplined and frugal when you start off your business. Number three, stay focused. Don't get distracted. Know exactly what you want to achieve. Focus on it. Then number four, make sure that everything you do with integrity, with honesty. And then number five, try to do whatever it is that you want to do in an innovative way. Don't do it the way every other person has always done it, because that is the way you can differentiate and distinguish yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful 60 session on this particular topic. And I'm sure we've learned a lot. And thank you very much, sir, for your insight. And your experience has opened the eyes to what happened 20 years ago. Hey, please kindly meet yourself, please.
I think he has a question.
Hello, good morning.
Do you have a question? We are getting together. Mr. Zam, we are getting together. We'll call you for your questions. All right. Thank you very much, sir. And for those of us who have questions and who have brought that, let me just quickly check the chat box and we reach out to all questions. Please, if you have questions and you want to say anything, use the icon. Just raise your hand and we will call the phone to answer your questions or to take your questions. All right, so we have on the chat box, we have here starting with, Madam Indian gave was referencing what you said. She said, start with what you have and don't wait for all the parameters to be perfectly in place before starting the entrepreneurial journey. She said, thank you, sir. And she also said, prioritize your business investment, plug back into your business and invest for compound interest and the business growth. The money invested into your profit is beneficial for business growth. And okay, she also went ahead to explain what bootstrapping is the process of building a business from scratch without attracting investment with minimal external capital. It's the way to finance small businesses by purchasing and using resources at the owner's expenses without sharing equity or borrowing huge sums of money from banks. I said achieve business growth with mindset of doing more with less, achieving more with less. Open your mind. Open your mind to solve problems, don't be quick to throw onto problems. So she was referencing your what you saw and the strapping. Then she talked about clarity and focus of vision with guide business decision making to help the entrepreneurs prioritize their needs for funds and what to put the funds into for productivity. And Dr. Pharm also said this strapping requires staying humble to avoid pressures that will increase budget. Okay, we have Mr. Felix Anyan who says, wow, great business nuggets from an icon of integrity and austere business plan. Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Felix. Then we have Madam Henrietta who went ahead and said, I am indeed doing it by level of wisdom and knowledge on this subject. All right now we are taking in questions, so we'd like to hear your questions. And if you have anything, please kindly raise contributions and questions. So we have the next 10-15 minutes for that.
I think the young man who is using this Xiaomi phone wants to ask a question. I don't know, his name is not showing.
Do you want to ask a question?
You have to unmute yourself.
Please kindly unmute yourself, sir. Okay, we have one question here from Dr. Ogheneochuko Omaruaye, and it says, well done, sir. What's your take on scalability and maintaining standards?
Sorry, take it again.
He said, what's your take on scalability and maintaining standards? I mean, scalability.
On scalability and maintaining standards. Again, for every business, the objective will be to scale. And if you are doing a business and you want to leave it small, you probably will not truly add value to society. So the objective of every business, and I always want to say this to every young person starting up business, is that always have it at the back of your mind that you also want to scale up. It shouldn't be a business to take care of you, your family, and meet all your basic needs. It is good to have that kind of business, but the business that truly add value to society are the business that you can scale. So yes, scalability is very important. And the beautiful thing about scaling up a business is that you would have made your mistakes when the business is small. So by the time you are scaling, you are in a better position to replicate the success you have as a small business. And then of course, maintain the same standard. Again, that is a tough call in a society like ours, where scaling means that you have to bring in people into the business, you have to train them, you have to equip them. And in doing all of that, people come into businesses with different agendas, but that is where you have to now manage your resources, your human resource, and so on and so forth. So yes, every business, in my own thinking, or at least 80% of businesses should be with the intention of scaling. And I think that's where the difference between the Western world and our African society is. For example, you will see that there are more billionaires in the US, there are more billionaires in China than all of Africa put together. And the reason is because when people set up business in those climes, their intention is to serve more people. The only way you can truly become a billionaire, like Dangote, like Otedola, like Ama, is when you serve more people. And the only way you can serve more people is when you scale. And that is why you see the big businesses we have around in Nigeria today are businesses that are serving, they will tell you this person has 1 million customers, 2 million customers, 3 million customers. Okay? So in building a business, always have it at the back of your mind that the idea will be to scale. And in scaling, you must maintain quality and you must maintain standards. And there's nothing you want to do that is new. There are processes already in place, SOPs for scaling businesses. They already exist. It's just for you to source for the right information and use them to achieve the business objective. I don't know if I answered your question correctly.
Right, Dr. Lee, I mean, that's for you. Thank you very much. So we have another question here. Okay, he said, thank you, sir, from Dr. Pharm and Media. And he said, what is the main challenge you encounter as a Nigerian entrepreneur, and how are you able to tackle the challenge? The word Nigeria.
You know, Nigeria is a very peculiar country. Okay, so some of the challenges you will encounter, and it all depends on the business sector you are operating. But I think that if you ask the average Nigerian businessman, what are their biggest challenges? The first thing they will tell you is infrastructure. Infrastructure means things like power, things like bad road network, things like poor rail network. Those are the first set of things they will tell you is their biggest problem. The next thing they will most likely tell you is, I always tell people, I say Nigeria is not short of employment opportunities, but Nigeria is short of employable human resources. So the next problem you will probably encounter as a Nigerian entrepreneur is quality of staff. Two major things, human resource and infrastructure challenge. So how do you manage them? For us, you have to be creative, you have to be a bit innovative and work around it. So you run a business in Nigeria, and I tell people, I said, the reason why I tell anybody that cares that I will stay in this country. I'm not going anywhere. If the Chinese come to Nigeria and they do business and they succeed, if the Lebanese come to Nigeria and they do business and they succeed, then there's no reason why me in Nigeria will not do business and succeed. What are they doing? I ask questions, I learn, and I modify it and apply it to suit what I do. So, for example, we all complain. There's no power, there's no power. MTN came. MTN raked in billions of naira. What did they do? They sorted their power needs by themselves. Okay? They took the business to the point where the power, even though the power was creating a major issue, it became insignificant to their core business. So find a solution to whatever those challenges are. There are challenges, and trust me, every country has its own peculiar challenge. Maybe you go to some other countries, their challenge may not be energy, may not be human resource, but they will have something that is a challenge. It may be that the way the structure is, the tax, the cost of running business there is higher. So Nigeria has its problem. Problems are meant to be surmounted, are meant to be solved to move forward. In terms of human resource, the solution to it is that you have to keep investing in your human resource. You have to keep training. You have to keep encouraging. You have to keep supporting. You have to keep showing them that this thing that you are doing is a collective effort to add value to society, of which they are a part of, and they will benefit as well. So there's no country you're going to go to that you will not find problem. The issue will be, how do I solve it? And there are several approaches to solving it. You just have to look at your own space, your own business related issues, and find solutions within that space to solve your problem. That, for me, are the two major challenges that I have as far as business is concerned. Aside the fact that government is as usual, will always fail in their responsibility. But again, that is not under your control. So you take charge of what is in your control and find solutions. The one that is not under your control, well, we are a very religious nation. Take it to God in prayer. God will answer us. God will answer us. But the one that is in your control, please don't disturb God. Do something about it. And there are lots of things that we can do. In fact, the percentage of prayer we need is probably very small versus the things we can do. Unfortunately, we have flipped it. We have made God to take responsibility for 95%, while we do 5%. When we should be doing 95% and praying for the remaining 5%. So we need to have that understanding.
Hello.
Thank you very much, sir. And before we round off, I would like to invite the business development partner of CLMI to
come and give a speech. Do I have an opportunity of wrapping up?
Yeah, yes, you can. Okay, before then, okay, you can wrap up, sir. You can.
Okay. So coming to a platform like this and talking about business, it's very easy for somebody to sit down there and be looking at me talking about this business. So I brought in the God factor in this conversation because the truth of the matter is that in everything that we are doing, we must connect with our inner man, and that inner man actually has a connection with the God that we serve. And a lot of the times, people jump into projects, people jump into businesses that they know in their inner man that they are not at peace with it. Okay, so what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that in all of these things that we say we are doing, bring this strategy, do this, do that, at the end of the day, if God does not help you, all your effort is in vain. So there's no taking away the God factor in what we do. What I only know and what I will always say is that you cannot give God your responsibility in the name of God we do it when it is you that will do it. So you have a role to play, God has a role to play. But I will never ever speak about whatever little success or achievement we have done as a business without mentioning the fact that it was by His grace and by His mercy that we are where we are today. So I just want to put that out there so that everybody will have a balance in terms of the way they approach running a business. There's a God factor in everything you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And once again, thank God for God. All right, thank you very much for this. And we believe that we have had that mindset of balancing this. So if you think you look at, she's the business development partner of the Courier Logistic Management Institute. Are you here, man?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, ma. So we just like to get your insight, the aspect of bootstrapping and funding before we round up this session, ma.
Okay, I would like to say thank you very much to our speaker of the day. It has been an amazing session, honestly. And I believe the recorded version will be shared in our main group because a lot of people will benefit. A lot has been said about this program. And sir, as you were dishing it out, some of us were writing the updates on the chat box because we want to keep our notes fresh. So thank you very much, sir. This was really insightful. And we would like to say that you have said so much, really. You have said so much. So it is for us to take what we have learned from this session and begin to implement them. So I'd like to briefly say one of the very striking things that our speaker mentioned in this conversation was the issue of challenges, because we're in Nigeria today. Yes, some of our members are out of the country, but like he said, in every environment, there are challenges. There is no place that there's no challenge. In fact, some of the countries we go to, when we see their own challenges, we're like, it's even better in Nigeria, really. Because if it's not policy, if it's not government policy or environmental factors or the business environment or the ecosystem where your business functions in, there are usually challenges. But, like we learned today, take those challenges and create solutions. And he said something very vital: don't throw money at every problem. Some problems need critical thinking. We need to involve our mind in our business. So, you've said so much. So I'd like to stop here because I believe one or two others might want to share what they also learned. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and the privilege. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. We have EVIC digital system who says great. Everything starts from within, and that within must be connected to God to bring Him glory. So in rounding up this session, do we have any questions, because we are already running up? Okay. All right. We'd like to invite the person of Dr. Franchido, Ma'am Annie Meje, to just give us our take, before we give a closing prayer, or before the executive chairman of the institute takes over and we close. Okay, Ma, we've been seeing your comments. Thank you very much. We believe that you've learned a lot on today's session. So you have the floor, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pharm is someone is a pharmacist I know and I honestly respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, Pharm who is the CEO of NHP, New Heights Pharma, is somebody that I'm not surprised at the things he's saying. He's a symbol of humility, and if you see him in the midst of his people, you may just pass by and not know that he's the driver behind the great NHP. And when you talk about the issue of quality, little wonder even the home run, which is one of the products that NHP has, is I would want to say everything that he does has a touch of excellence. I'm not marketing NHP here, but it's one thing for people to say something, another thing is for them to live out what they are saying. So I just want to say, continue the good work. And one of the things that comes to my mind is what he's talking about, the need. It's not everything anything that comes to his table. Sometimes people may think that, oh, you're very, very frugal. That's the best way. There's no very great business person who is successful that does not stay on the issue of need. I happen to be, even my little grandson, who is just about 6 years old, when he wants to tell me some things, he will tell me, Queenie, I need this, I need it. I don't just want it, I need it. And I don't know. And I said, this is good. So he is beginning to understand there's a difference between need and want. And if a child of 6 years would say, I need this, I don't just want it, I need it, how much more we who are entrepreneurs? So I want to say thank you very much, Pharm O, and this is a very, it said a lot, and we need to go back like the goats that chew the cord to go over it over and over, not just for startups, because many people who are here on this platform are not just startups, but and even those who are in the business, in the same principle that you start up with, that you keep on going on with. So thank you for making that time to share your heartfelt experiences with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma. So before we round off and go with the closing prayer, I would like us to remind us that the program for the Nigerian British Chambers of Commerce and Industry is in partnership with the Courier Logistics Management Institute. It's ongoing, the registration is ongoing, and which is on cybersecurity and safety management for contemporary business operations. Now we are all entrepreneurs, business-minded professionals. I mean, let's come out and learn about cybersecurity and its and its vulnerabilities, implementation in the risk management to be taken, and everything has. And this program is a certification, it's a certificate-based training, and we are also introducing the aspect of international networking amongst individuals, professionals from the logistics industry, different departments, Nigerian British Chambers of Commerce and Industry. And currently the fee for this program is 150,000 naira. You can send 2-3 staffs from your organization to come and learn, and I'm sure they are going to bring great impactation and implement it in your various business. So once again, thank you everyone for participating. Last month was wonderful, and this month was super wonderful. I mean, super greater than last month. And next month, we are coming again with another, somebody will say with another banger. Thank you all. And I mean, in this notion, I would like to invite the executive chairman of the institute to also give us a final word before we go with the closing prayer. Distinguished Professor Simon immediately.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is just quite fulfilling for all of us. We want to especially thank Pharm O. I joined the vanguard to shout Pharm O because you have done the extraordinary.
Thank you, sir.
we wouldn't have expected anything less than what you have said. And over here in CLMI, we say we want to, our slogan on this program is like, is beyond the books. You know, it's one thing to read books, theory upon theory upon theory, but when it comes to application, it's a different ball game. You know, so, and that is what is being fulfilled by your presentation and the wholeness of this program that we came up with. Is fulfilling to us, quite fulfilling, because we are not reading books, we are being practical. And wisdom comes not only by those who are experiencing it, but those who are also watching. There's an adage that says, if somebody is in your front, you are walking behind. If the person knocks his leg and he falls down and gets up, if you come to that very spot and you fall, then you must be like a fool. So experience is so expensive. What he has told us all over, you can't buy all of this with money. And I would say you can't just read them in books because these are realities of life that we go through every day. And we feel in CLMI that the best way is not just to talk in the class, it's not just to read books, but it's also to hear practically from people. And that is going to help a lot of businesses all over, globally. Nigeria is a country, and you will agree with me that the rich people are also crying. The economy is crying. Everybody is crying. Everyone you talk to in Nigeria
will tell you here and there, things are hard. Things are hard. You go to the market, things are hard. You are in the office, things are hard. In the house, things are hard. Everywhere, things are hard. But again, the irony of the whole thing is that, excuse me, we have the best of brains in the whole world, I must tell you. So when you talk of knowledge, knowledge is there. When you talk of resources, resources are there. But like he was saying, those things are not, where are they when we are experiencing all of these hardships? And we discovered that in CLMI, look, beyond the books, beyond the knowledge, as much as we know that you ought to know before you go into ventures, we must practically address this so that we add practical knowledge to what we theoretically know. And that is what is fulfilling to us right now in CLMI and in Nigeria. And we believe that with this strength, no doubt, Nigeria will be a better place. It will definitely be a better place. I believe in Nigeria very much, just like he said too. I believe that we have all it takes to be a giant in the world. And we can do it. We can do it. Like he said, do more with less. I like that slogan. Do more, other philosophy. Do more with less. Venture into what you know are persuaded to do, and it will make a whole difference. It will just make a whole difference as we do what, just use what is in your hand. So Pharm, we are grateful, so much grateful, and help us tell the story, as many as you can reach, that look, we want to see a turnover, we want to see a change in entrepreneurship in Nigeria. And this is one of the ways we are trying to do that, by impacting the whole country through people who have gone through this channel of life. And how have they succeeded? What were the things? By this way, I'm very, very sure, we are very, very sure to be a different story altogether. The Lord God will continue to bless your business.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Bless the businesses of everybody in attendance and those who are not even around. The news will go far and wide. And to all these, our members, we want you to be proud of what is happening, that we are not calling you to be a member, or you are not a member because of what membership fee you pay. But we are very, very, very much interested in the value, what will add value to whatever you are doing. And that gives us joy. To help us tell the story. And every month this will continue. And like it's announced, NBCC program with us is another serious area that you have to look at based on what the presenter has said. And finally, we are preparing for our international conference in November. We want everybody in this platform to carry at least 5 to 10 people to come to that conference, because you can see all of the things you are hearing. We are going to sum them into the conference. And you can imagine what that would be. So prepare yourself, prepare your company, prepare your staff. Let them come. Let's reason together. Reason also with the government, because we are dwelling in a country where we have also leadership. And we want to tell the leaders another way out that the country can be helped. And that is another forum to pursue this. Even this you are hearing now is not just within us. It will go out, like I said, it will go out through the media and through other channels. But we are trying to give this and seclude it to our members as a value. But no doubt your staff members who are benefiting, and there is no way you can hold this information outside the circles of the members. It will still go. So for November 26th at Oriental Hotel is another gathering again. But before then, what you are experiencing today will continue into that. And we are going to sum up everything in November with all of this put together. So we are grateful. We welcome everybody and we'll continue to welcome all of us. Thank you once more, Pharm. Oh, we are very
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much, Prof. And thank you. With that motion, we'd like to invite Dr. Abajo Michael. Thank you for joining, sir. Can you hear me? Dr. Abba. If you can hear me, just unmute yourself, sir. Okay. All right. So thank you once again. So see you next month. And if you are, see you next month at the next CLMI membership entrepreneurship for Entrepreneurial Connect, which is known as Cmec. And we are going to be gathering again the information on our next speaker and the time will be sent into the platform. And we'd like us to invite our friends and participate. Okay, with the absence of can't hear Dr. Abba. So I would like to invite Mr. Felix Anyanwu to give us the closing prayer for this session. Mr. Felix, are you there, sir?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And my best regard to our speaker, who happened to be my mentor and boss, and also to the management of CLMI for always bringing down enormous value to the members. Father, we thank you for this privilege of gaining knowledge. We ask, Lord, that all that we've heard, you give us the grace to practice so that your glory will shine through our lives to people based on the knowledge that we have received. Thank you for answer to our prayers. We pray that you bless our speaker and bless everyone that have attended this forum, that in time to come, the benefit and testimonies of the things we've heard from this program today will be impacted positively in our lives and in our economy and society in general.
Life depends on it. Mornings aren't.
Thank you, Lord, for answering our prayers. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Okay. Felix, well done.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Inside Out Glow routine packed with antioxidants and just what my immune system needs. Glowing skin and good vibes start from within. Try this and your body will thank you.
Seminar ma from Ogheneochuko Man, IMSC. Yeah, first specific. Specify if first Entrepreneurship Connect free webinar exclusive for CLMI members. Focus for entrepreneurial exchange of experience, interaction, and growth. Where sharp minds share, learn, and grow together. Our Express 5 for you.
I'm no morning person, So when my alarm goes off, my first instinct is to crawl right back into bed. But instead, I try to be that girl. You know, the one who always takes her morning routine seriously, stretches and